We've all heard the story. The Titanic, the grandest ship of its time, hailed as unsinkable. But what if I told you that this famous claim was never actually made by the ship's builders, the White Star Line? What if the whole unsinkable legend was a myth, born from a marketing campaign gone horribly wrong, with a much darker secret hiding beneath the surface? Today, we are diving deep into the icy waters of history to uncover the truth behind the Titanic's most enduring and tragic myth. So, where did this idea even come from? It wasn't from some grand announcement or a bold declaration by its creators. Instead, the term practically unsinkable appeared in an obscure trade magazine called The Shipbuilder. It was a technical journal read by industry insiders, not the general public. The article praised the Titanic's advanced safety features, like its watertight compartments and remotely controlled doors. For its time, it truly was a marvel of engineering. The magazine used the phrase practically unsinkable to describe the ship's resilience if a few compartments were flooded. But the key word here is practically. It was a technical assessment, not an absolute guarantee. So how did practically unsinkable morph into the absolute, ironclad unsinkable? This is where the media and marketing of the early 20th century come into play. Newspapers, eager for a sensational story, latched onto the idea. They dropped the word practically and began promoting the Titanic as a symbol of human triumph over nature. It was the perfect narrative, a floating palace, a testament to modern progress, a ship that could not be conquered by the sea. The White Star Line, seeing the immense publicity this generated, did little to correct the record. Why would they? The unsinkable myth was selling tickets faster than they could print them. It created an aura of ultimate safety and luxury. But this myth had a dark and deadly consequence. It created a dangerous sense of complacency. Believing the ship was invincible, the crew, the passengers, and even the regulatory bodies overlooked critical safety measures. The ship's lifeboat drills were treated as a mere formality, poorly organized and barely attended. In fact, a full-scale drill scheduled for the very day the ship hit the iceberg was cancelled by the captain. Why bother with lifeboats on a ship that can't sink? This overconfidence was the real killer. The most shocking part: the Titanic was only carrying enough lifeboats for about half the people on board, roughly 1,178 souls. This was actually more than the law required at the time. The British Board of Trade's regulations were woefully outdated, based on a ship's tonnage, not its passenger capacity. They hadn't caught up with the new generation of massive superliners. So, while technically legal, the lifeboat situation was a disaster waiting to happen. The unsinkable myth made this critical flaw seem unimportant. The belief was that in the unlikely event of an accident, the Titanic would stay afloat long enough for rescue ships to arrive. The lifeboats were seen as mere ferries to shuttle passengers to safety, not as their primary means of survival. When the unthinkable happened, and the iceberg tore a 30-foot gash along the ship's hull, flooding 6 of its 16 watertight compartments, the myth shattered. The crew, unprepared and confused, struggled to launch the few lifeboats they had. Panic and chaos ensued. Many lifeboats were launched half-empty in the confusion, a tragic testament to the lack of training and the false sense of security that had permeated the entire voyage. The unsinkable ship sank in less than 3 hours, taking over 1,500 lives with it. So the dark secret isn't just about a marketing slogan. It's about how a myth, amplified by the media and unchecked by the company, created a culture of arrogance and complacency that led directly to one of the greatest maritime tragedies in history. The Titanic wasn't just sunk by an iceberg. It was sunk by a deadly combination of hubris, outdated regulations, and the powerful, dangerous myth of its own invincibility. It's a sobering reminder that no matter how advanced our technology becomes, we should never underestimate the power of nature or the fatal cost of overconfidence. Thanks for watching. If you found this dive into history interesting, make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more untold stories. See you next time.